Aman and Chandradip Rana from DJX Lab. They are going to talk about how gamification, XR, and interactive media are transforming the way we learn and train. Chandradip Rana, a creative technologist with over 12 years in toy design and game design, leads DJS Labs, innovative work at intersection of creativity and technology. Aman, an XR developer, builds AR and VR experiences that blend storytelling with real-world impact. They'll share their case studies from cyber attack simulations to heritage explorations to in games and VR training modules, showing how interactive experiences are transforming learning across industries. Please welcome Chandradeep Rana and Aman.
Is it turned on? Just cross check. Yeah, I think, yeah. Hello, hello. Am I audible? Perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the session. I hope you all are settled. Perfect, perfectly fine. Everyone, you can listen me? Perfect, perfect. So we are from DJX Labs. Welcome to the session. And first of all, welcome all you guys to IGDC because all of your presence makes IGDC beautiful. So to make this space up, give a huge round of applause for everyone for IGDC so that we make just raise it up because we don't need these sessions to be very boring, right? We are here to learn, we are here to grow, we are here to communicate to each others, right? From by Aman, like the youngest panelist from the session, I would like to start first and then I will introduce. So I hope we can just click on next. Oh, I just went so far. Perfect. So hello everyone, I'm Aman Bohra, senior XR developer in DJX Labs, and I'm joined with
Chandradip Rana, I think Pavitra has already told a lengthy description about
True, very
us,
true.
so we can jump into
Perfect.
the other parties.
So first of all, we'll give you brief introduction about what exactly DJX Labs and what we do, so that you get to understand about what this presentation is all about and what we are going to understand our work culture and what we do in our presentations, in our work, in our client projects, right? So first of all, DJX Labs stands himself as a creative technology company. Right, the entire team is being curated with the creative technologists. So what we do exactly, we mold out the technologies, we mold out the tech to a solution in a way that it's creatively done, playful, and very interesting for our users to interact with. Right. So from here onwards, I will first give Rana the session, and then I will continue with the dev section. Thank you so much.
Okay, so so DJ is a 12 to 13-year-old company. So we are not a new company. So we've been doing XR and immersing tech for around 12, 10 years, right? What we do specifically, we are not a game design studio. I have to say this in IGDC because we don't design and develop personal games. But what we do, we use gamification to create very, very, very engaging and interactive media and content, right? That may or may not be games. And today, we are going to talk about three different things, right? We're going to talk about XR, we're going to talk about learning, and we're going to talk about gamification. We feel gamification is the concept that bridges these two very distinct areas together, right? So let's just start. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. So what happens when we see games? You know, in games you have a story, you have a narrative, you have some characters you're playing, you have a mechanic. We also do the same. But now imagine you're doing this for learning, for a platform that is the purpose of it is to teach someone or to learning, right? So there are three things that we do to boost engagement because our main primary motive is to increase engagement, right? So three things that we do. First is we do motivation. So we try and increase motivation as much as possible. If we are not motivating our users, our learners, they will leave the platform, they will not interact, right? So, because the traditional learning methods we already know, it's very boring, it's on paper, and it's just, you just don't want to have it for a prolonged period of time. Second thing that we do curiosity mapping. So we increase curiosity. What happens when I'm told, when I tell you that, okay, you have to complete these 5 different things, you might feel that, okay, I have to complete all these 5 different things. Where is the curiosity? But if I tell you that, okay, there is this world, you just go and explore, and in that exploration, you can learn. So that brings in a lot of curiosity. Third thing that we do, we build a very good narrative because we feel that when the users are part of something, they actually do wonders. So then you don't have to teach them. They automatically learn things. You just have to give them the modules. You just have to give them the smaller nudges that these are the things you just have to do. So these 3 things we do, and you can see in smaller text some of the features that we focus on while building these things. Say, for instance, motivation, we focus on instant feedback. So what happens, you do something and you should get the feedback right away. But you can see here, right, the numbers keep counting up. So which gives you feedback that you are actually improving. Leaderboard is also something that we do that also gives you a lot of engagement because it gives you that challenges, it gives you that, it pushes you to do better, right? Curiosity, yes, we do a lot of curiosity driven work, like we give trivia, we give a lot of active quiz. One thing that we do to improve curiosity is we give a non-linear interaction. You know what is a non-linear interaction? Interaction where you are not told to do something specific. So here what you do, you explore. When you explore, you learn, right? So which builds up curiosity. Third thing we do narrative in a way that, as I already mentioned, that you should be part of that story, right? So storytelling is very important. The second thing is avatar interaction. Now we all know that there are virtual avatars which are as real as humans, right? So we do a lot of avatar interactions. And as these avatars are AI driven, it can actually do wonder. You feel like you're talking to a real person, and that also boosts your engagement a lot. So the first thing that we do for making our platforms, of making our experiences more fun and more engaging, we understand the goal, right? When we understand the goal that the learners should, achieve this, we don't give these goals to them right away. That this is the whole plethora of things that you have to go. We divide and break these learning modules into smaller chunks, right? And we give them proper tooltips or proper instruction on how to do this. Say, for instance, you see, it's a fire extinguishing training module where you are trained to extinguish fire. You're trained how you can actually work with the fire simulators, right? So we tell them, sweep the fire sweeper, so left and right? Or here we tell them that pick up the spoon, where we teach how, for the hoteliers who are doing hotel management, they have to know how to set up a table, right? So the training module focuses on that. So here you can see we have divided the whole module into smaller chunks. What it does, it feels that every little chunks is a smaller achievement. So we are not looking for a grand reward at the end. We are looking for micro rewards. Like every act you do, it should feels like you are achieving something great. Okay. So a progression is the key. If you don't have a progression, if you don't know how much I've learned, you just lose that track. So for us, progression is very important. Every step we tell them that you have achieved something. There are 2 ways we do. One, we give them a loader, right? And the other, we give them a point like 3 out of 5. Now, two of these things are very different in its nature. In a learning method, in a learning module, I cannot tell them that complete the module in 30 seconds and go. That does not work, right? I cannot give them a specific time and they have to complete it within time, because that does not work, because ultimate goal is to make people learn. If I do not give them the ample amount of time, they might not. So what we do, instead of giving a timer, we try and give them a progress meter that is more personal, that feels more natural, right? And also, obviously, feedback. Like you have a ticker, you have a green shine that comes, gives you a positive feedback, gives you a negative feedback. This is very important for us to go forward, move forward to the next level. Then when we are working, as I told you, that we are not just screen based, right? Or we are not just games that are mobile based. We do a lot of emerging technologies. We are working with a lot of emerging technologies, right? Which includes AR, VR. Apart from that, we do a lot of phygital experiences, right? Multimodal, where we are doing gesture based technologies, where we are working with a lot of other type of, like, say, neural networks. So we do a lot of other interactions as well. What it gives us, that we understand feedback, it's not on the screen only. It is outside the screen. It is when you interact, you get the feedback. It is very physical, right? Some of the games we designed where the feedback is actually you have to jump, you have to do things, both in XR as well as in a game like that, where you are actually doing the act. So it's not just the screen. Feedback here extends beyond the screen to a physical world, right? Next, what we say is social. Now, we all know that social is the most powerful gamification idea to implement in any kind of an application, right? There are two ways we can do. One is cooperative mode, which you can see happening here. But what happens in cooperative mode, there are two, like people are in a remote areas. One person joining from Bangalore, another person joining from Kolkata, right? But what we do, we also do cooperative mode physical games like that, which actually makes people see the other person interact in front of them. So it's not only digital cooperative mode, it is also physical co-op mode as well. And also, obviously, the interaction also helps because you are competing with your peers. And in terms of social, apart from competition, it is also sharing, right? So, what happens when we are working with a lot of XR games? We let the user share their stories. We let the user interact with the other player in VR as naturally as possible. What happens here that, say for instance, one example, I don't like this. So instead of saying or pressing a no button, I would say this, right? This gesture itself is so important, or so, I would say it's enough for me to say that I don't like it, or I don't like it, or I like it. So it helps, right? So yeah, social. Next thing we do is, as we are talking about XR and other emerging technologies, we do a lot of digital experiences, experiences that are multimodal. Here, as you can see, that it's not just any other VR application, right? It comes with a controller which actually feels like a real world drill machine, right? So there are other ways also you can do. You can do haptic jackets, you can do haptic gloves. There are so many technologies that are available to give you that experience. But the smartness is how you can use these technologies to create an experience that actually holds, right? So here, the person can actually feel. So it's the drill machine is of the same weight as an actual drill machine. It's not something that is the drill machine is very lighter, or we made a prototype that is just looks like a drill machine. No, it should feel like a drill machine. And it should actually, weight has to have that feeling of drill machine, right? So the design here was very much tactile, and it feels more real, right? What is the other thing we do? We integrate play. That's the best thing that you can do, is to make more playful interactions. Now you see on the right one here, on the left one here, it's a simple interaction. You just tap, but you should feel like you're tapping. That has to have that tactile feel to it, that I am tapping something, and tapping with a particular timer. On the other hand, you see we have replicated or taken the interaction of a real world, which is like a catapult, right? And we have integrated it within the VR. So here, the interaction is the key. If your interaction is good, your the user will be hooked to the experience for a prolonged period of time. Talking about interaction, let's talk about types of interactions, right? People who have, as I told you in the drill machine case, Here, where the interaction was very physical, where I'm actually holding a drill machine and I am drilling onto the wall. What if the interaction is magical? It is not something that is of real world, right? Now here you can see it's more spatial. We're talking about VR, so we are making more spatial interactions. Here you can see the interaction is very clear. I can rotate the house and I can enter the space right there. It becomes a 360. On the other hand, you see that I drag and all the pieces of the engine, kind of, it kind of extracts and becomes separated so that I can see what is happening inside. These interactions are not possible in actual physical world, but it is possible when you are in a VR world. So in VR, while we are working with a lot of learning platforms and learning tools, we try to do that because these are the things that will scale up. Always remember, a learning module, if it is done in physically, will not be having such things. There, what happens that a person will be standing in front of this engine and will try to explain it, and they will show you a sort of a brochure with all the things inside, and they will tell you these are the things. But in VR, it changes. I can completely go into the engine. I can see what is happening. I can see how the air flows. Everything is as real as possible. And that gives the VR learning or learning in immersive media a more edge over the actual learning models. As I was telling earlier, that non-linear experiences, it is very good for increasing curiosity. As you can see here, we have two examples here, one from the life science course and one from the physics course, right? Here people are actually exploring with the blocks to learn physics. We are teaching them the laws of motion, and we are just giving them a playground. Just play with it, play with the blocks, play with the molecules, and and see what is there, right? We are not telling them that you do this, you do that. There is no instruction, but still people are interacting, and in the method of interacting, they are learning. So non-linear interaction equals to higher curiosity. And this was some of the key design aspects that we touch when we are designing XR applications for learning uh, practices, learning methods, and learning modules. Now, I will hand it over to Aman. He will talk about how we develop all these things. So, my part was designing, and then Aman will talk about the development part here.
Is it? Okay, perfect. So far so good. Like you have all seen how we are trying our best to use interaction, gamification into the real world application that people are using. And that's why we are here showcasing how DJX Lab not only making games, not only making applications, we are trying to use gamification, immersive media, and these tech into a way that you utilize into an immersive, playful experiences. Correct. I think you have seen so far. So these all videos you have seen are the real projects we have delivered to our clients, and that's why we have stated that these are real builds, these are real techs, and they have real impact, definitely. Correct. So developers buckle up because now we will go to a case study step by step that how there was an equation and then how we figured out a solution for our client and then how we delivered at the real impact. So it will be a very interesting journey. So starting with what we do as an innovation section, because of creative technologies team, we have the default settings of being innovation, right? If you are into XR, if you have ever touched XR, you will definitely have seen that we have coming new APIs like PCA. We have pass-through camera access. So starting with three examples. First, we have voice-driven 3D content generation in mixed reality. Sorry. So what we did, at the last Christmas, we created a mixed reality application, and we figured out a solution that entire team of 20, 25 people can play in a sync experience or can imagine a Christmas tree with their own unique examples, their own unique gifts. So what did we provided these headset to each individual. They just like they use speech to text to convert their voice into 3D models. Now these models, which are generated in runtime, can be grabbed, placed anywhere, and being decorative to our tree. And at the end, we placed like 20, 25 unique items, and we took a picture. Now this is how we try to innovate This is how we try to use latest tech, and definitely here we use machine learning models to create runtime model from our servers, right? Second, we have AI assistant pass-through that I told you that we have these PCA, right? Pass-through camera access. So these headsets you wore, right? These mixed reality headsets are so powerful, and now due to these APIs, we can access that power in our code. So all the developers sitting here can make hundreds and hundreds of applications just with this PCA API that you have all the power that your headset can see. And similarly, we tried a small example that AI-assisted pass-through interaction where you can hold anything. If I hold this, I can ask my Gemini that what is this item that I'm holding. And you have seen these meta demos online, right? The last is direct IoT control inside. Why not? I will need this. If I have that Meta headset, I can stand in front of stage, I can control the lights, I can control the environment just by clicking, just by looking. So these are what examples, these are what immersive tech, and this is what the latest immersive media we are doing. So basically we try to showcase all the softwares we use. You can like grab a picture and see what we use. I think definitely hundreds of people will be using this. We have Unity, Unreal Engine, React, 3.js. So this is not only development oriented, like designers use this, 3D artists use this, we as a developer use this. So I think these are some you already know. I think you can ask later on if there is some icon you don't know, we can explain you what exactly is used for. From concept to experiences, all the concepts you have learned just from Rana presentation that how we create interactions, how we use this concept of quick interaction, gamification into our experiences. So going towards the project, first I will try to ask you a quick question so that we can see how far you can reach when it comes to usability and interaction. So the first question is, how else can you interact with a Rubik's Cube? Very basic question, right? You have a Rubik's Cube. Imagine that you all sitting on the desk, you have a Rubik's Cube. What ways of interaction you can do? You just rotate it, right? And yes, you can solve the problem, you can create a solution, but just wait for a second. I will tell you how we use the interaction, how we use the simple gamification into an event settings, which I will explain you what exactly an event setting is. What we did, we turned a classic puzzle into a playful onboarding experience. How? We created a gamified onboarding experience. There was a recent event, and client asked us to create an interactive experience that they can fill the form, right? The cube, the Rubik's Cube is now being used to fill a form. So layer by layer, you will be asked with questions, like if I explain you, the first layer asks you, are you a CEO? Are you a gamer? Are you a designer? The next layer will ask you another question. The next layer asks you another question. Like this, playing an interaction, gamified experience, you are filling a form. And then we use one more thing, which is Holobugs. We use an immersive tech that makes these things more engaging. So just imagine you are in IGDC and you are coming towards the registration desk, and there is a queue floating around. You can interact and fill the form, and then you have a QR code as your badge. Right? So we are trying to involve gamification in various sectors like this event. So let's go next. Next question. Can a quiz make you move like you are part of the story? Another big question. Like Rana said, we have various interaction. If you come about, like talk about quiz, there is a quiz like where you tap on the screen and answer. There's a quiz where you are on a hot seat answering to Amitabh Bachchan. There are two types of quiz. Any other quiz you know? Right? We can evolve around interactions so much that we made a quiz, we turned the learning into a full body flight adventure. How we did that? We created an entire experience using a hardware named Kinect. You may be knowing that. So what it does, you have a big screen like this. You have a Kinect hardware which tracks your body. Right. Now we use the interaction of human body to tilt left or to tilt right, and then you can answer the questions and quick. And this is the way you now learn while interacting with the experience. And these are all real projects. These are all real events that we have shown you. So make sure that real builds real impact. Right. There are a few challenges and gamification. So just to go around in this specific project, like turn a quiz into an interactive physics play is very difficult, to be very frank. At the first instance, you will think how you can convert a quiz very interactive, right? He should be playing that experience. He should be learning out of it. And that's the most difficult part. Like you have to make someone learn, right? You can make someone play for hours, but to make someone learn will be a very difficult task, to be very sure. right? To turn a quiz into an interactive physical experience, reliable body tracking, and keep gameplay full for all ages. And this interaction, we can do anything. Like we can make jump, we can do any interaction, but we select the interaction based on the environment we are going for. So for this event, there were a lot of age gap. Maybe small kids are playing. There will be a high age people can play. So we made a small, single, simple interaction that everyone can enjoy and then learn. Next, ever imagine playing cards could present cyber threats? One more interesting concept is how mixed reality can be used in similar setup, like how gameplay, how multiplayer games can be used. And we used this cyber threat. We have a question that we need to explain cyber threats, right? And what we figured out a solution is to use mixed reality. What we did, we transform a deck into a cyber warfare playground. How we did that? We created a local entire multiplayer game out of it. Okay, we created a mixed reality experience where two people will be standing in front of each other. There will be a virtual table in front of them. I will be having 4 cards and he will be having 4 cards. I have to attack AI attack. I can select any one of the option, maybe data poisoning attack. I can do a phishing attack. And then the user has the defender side, the other person, in the real time, in this stage, in front of me, have to select a defender card. So they are trying to understand, and we, after this round, we also show a pop-up that what is data center attack, what is phishing attack, and how it is being solved. So it's a way of showing them, understanding them the concept by the gamification and the immersive media and XR. So this was the recent experience we created. As you can see in the split screen view, we created a Unity-based local multiplayer game, and we used XR and local multiplayer space to connect these two guys. Next, what if cybersecurity lessons drop into your game? So you must have heard, of course, about this Tetris game, right? So we have a thought that what we can do with a Tetris game to make people learn. And just remember about the setting these all applications are being placed. We are a company which work with museum, which work with events, and which work with direct clients. Okay, so we have different spaces to be working with, and we have to answer those questions based on the settings we are working with. So if we have an event where hundreds and hundreds of people can interact with a single application, then we have to make quick interaction. Then we have to make experience that can be quickly experienced and then go on further. But if we are talking about museums, then in museums we can have an expanded large experience there tens and twenties of people can experience together. Right. So in this specific case, it was an event setting, and we turned quick judgment into a fast-paced block survival, learn threats as you clear the stack. So this is a cyber threat Tetris game. The concept is extremely simple. You have the blocks are falling down. You have to select a specific block. Now the interaction is completely changed, but the game is same. So once you see these visuals from a far distance, you understand this is a Tetris game. And people will come towards the screen to interact to play the game. But what they are taking with this? The learning, the outcome. So what this game does, you come towards the screen, you tap on the blocks rather than to swipe left and right. You answer the quiz. If the quiz answer is correct, the blocks fades out and you score the points, otherwise it will fill. And the gamification is you have to interact quickly, you have to answer quickly, and then you have to climb the leaderboard amongst all to win with an interactive learning experience. I hope you got the points. Last, what else should a shield do benefits just protect? So you have a shield. This is one more example. This is the last one, but it will be a more interesting one. This is the same setting. We have an event again, but now we have to make gamification more interactive now. We use augmented reality, but in a different setup. What we did, we turned the shield into more than protection. It becomes the way to learn, right? So we named the project as Fact Defender. What it does, it blocks the incoming. Like what you have to do, you just have to stand in front of a screen. You have to raise your hand, and then in your right hand there will be a magical shield coming up. Okay, same. We use Kinect as an hardware. We use touchscreen as our medium, and we use immersive media and creativeness to achieve that output. Right. So we use our hand. We have a shield in front of our hand. We have to block the wrong miss, and we have to bypass the right miss to learn and play the experience. And this is the same like others. What we do, we create an immersive interactive experience. We merge it with questions, we merge it with learning, and then we provide it to the event or we do the setup. So if you want to know more about this, if you have a lot more questions about DJX Lab, what we do, how creative we are, how the outcome is being achieved. See, these all projects are not single-handedly done. These are done by a designer. These are done by developers. These are done by creative technologists. We all aim that we all are the people who bring a solution using interactive media, and we involve all these, which are gamification, XR, and immersive media. So if you want to check out our website, you can go to djxlabs.co, and you can also scan the QR code to directly land on our LinkedIn, and you will see much, much more applications. If you're into XR and if you're a developer, designer, DJX Hack is what we have done recently. For students, for the people who want to grow in this area, DJX Hack was a hackathon we recently hosted, and we got immense experiences. Like there were 35 people who made around 10 unique projects in just single day. Right? So you can see the capabilities and you can see a lot more. So to quickly give you a showcase how people work, we have a video to be showcased. Can we play that quickly? Please.
So, how was your day?
Oh, it's been glorious.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I hope you liked it, right? Like just imagine these applications were made in single day by all those students who just started with XR. So a group of people, a group of creative technologists, what they can do, right? So at the last, I would like to add, oh, okay, yeah. So we have a live demo also. I will be not doing it right now on the stage, but we have a VR headset set up there. You can, after this session, you can come there and experience this real estate application where you will be immersed with an environment or city, and then you can interact, open the house, and go inside the house that you have seen, right? And I think I have taken 10 minutes to just answer your questions because I think there will be a lot. Thank you so much.
Hi, sorry. So what you guys showed the Tetris game, it looked like an applied game rather than gamification. I love you guys' ka work by the way, but like, how would you explain the difference between gamification and an applied game?
Well, we don't differentiate much. We see it as a mechanics, and we see we have a goal. We have a goal where we have to teach some modules, right? Now, instead of making just A, B, C, D, or yes and no, it's better that we introduce a better interaction and better games, right? We always draw inspiration from existing mechanics. It's not a bad thing to do. So, Tetris is a very, very set mechanics, right? But Tetris itself is a complete game. If you want to modify on top of it, it means that you have to change the game. It cannot be same, it can be similar, right? And it is the value addition we are doing on top of the mechanics. Um, for us, it is the mechanics first, and then how we actually make the interaction in a way that people are hooked with the particular one. Because many a times we are dealing with questions that are very dry, questions that are cyber security questions. So cyber security itself is a very dense topic. And if you want to tell someone what is phishing attack, right, it is not going to work out. So we need to, so our primary work is to simplify concepts first, and then try and see that how we can, use gamification or existing mechanisms, if it is there, to tell that story. So we, as I told you in the beginning also, that we are innovators, we're not like Tetris maker, right? So if there is already existing things like a game mechanic that we feel works really well, why not? We are adding value on top of it. So we do that, and many a times we do that. If that's
Yeah,
answers your
it
question.
answered my question. I also had a follow-up question that, one sec, sorry. Uh,
Can we do one thing? Can we continue
Yeah,
with
we
someone
have
else
one
so we
more
can? We
question.
are here only so we can discuss. You know.
No worries, no worries. Sorry, sorry. Hmm.
Thank you for the very interesting presentation. So, I'm a sports educator, right? I have a curriculum in place. I know what I am a big believer of, problem-based, solution-focused, immersive learning, right? So, I have my curriculum, I have the worksheets, I have the case studies, and the works. I know what quizzes would be great for them. What are some projective techniques where they could actually relate to what they're doing? So if I were to provide 100 hours of that to you guys, how much amount of time would you need to produce, what to say, the interactive aspect of that curriculum?
You want to answer?
Sure, sure. So it totally depends based on the media we use, first of all. Like maybe we can use a touch, maybe we can use Kinects, which are more motion sensor based, and maybe we can use the VR setup, right? So if you talk about maybe we go with the third option, which is mixed reality. So it's very difficult to make application for those who have never used that, right? So we need tutorials, we need the interaction being pre-trained, right? We have to understand that the solution. So if you talk about the timing, what we can do, you can contact us, give us the information, and when we can give you quickly about how long it takes based on the experiences or based on the media you require. But it's doable based
You,
on the interactions we need.
you mentioned you're into sports
Education.
education,
Sports
right?
education.
Okay. So if you have 100 hours of, so we do a lot of content that is of 100 hours of educational content. What we do, we try and see information architecture in a way that we can simplify interactions, right? You cannot obviously design different interactions for all different 100
Yeah.
whatsoever modules that you're going to work on. So you need to understand how we can define 4 or 5 key interactions or key gameplay mechanics that can cover all your 100
Awesome.
points. Yeah. So that we can only do when we have an understanding of your
Of your
100
content.
modules,
Sure.
and then we can provide you probably the sorted mechanics under which you can put your modules in,
Sure.
right? So you then work on these modules, so work on these mechanics, work on the platform, and probably get the content made and then push into the platform. So that's how you can
I'll
do
catch you later. I have a follow-up question.
it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. I have two questions basically. So one is, what is the normal timeline for a VR training? Like you showed the fire extinguisher thing. So to build something like that, what would be a typical timeline? That is my first question. And second is, uh, are you using any AI tools to generate the assets like the 3D models and all those stuff? So
We do generate a lot. In today's time, if you're a designer, you cannot run away from AI. You have to generate, right? We do generate a lot, even for 3D models. Our main point is to not make the final product in the first place. That does not happen. We are always a POC based, we always make proof of concepts. We always experiment, make our proof of concepts, and then we see that this is working, this is not working, and then based on that result, we take the next step, right? So if you say development time, I think we can say around
3 weeks maybe?
3 weeks
Three
to
weeks.
4 weeks to make one module. So it's not like something that it takes a lot of time.
But it will
Wastage,
be
we don't do wastage
iterative.
of
Like,
time.
first of all, we will plan what exactly you need. in the experience, then we'll give you an entire storyboard out of it. Like this will be the first setup, this will be the second. And once the approval, then we go hands-on on the development. So it's a step-by-step process, but around 3 weeks we can deliver what you want. Yep.
And uh, and also we try to provide two types of interaction, the blend or good mix of two interactions. Say for instance, you have interactions that are simple, that are, as I told you, guided interactions, which are like pressing a button or clicking a button, making a slider. We also give you interactions that are very much like real life, like you are working with a drill machine or working with a fire extinguisher. So these are some of the physical. So if your training is requiring you to have more physical objects, then that kind of interaction holds really well, right? So it depends. But 3 weeks, what Aman said, is the time that we see for developing smaller modules.
Generic modules, yeah.
If you have a larger modules, then obviously that depends.
So that 3 weeks is only the development time. So not the storyboard and all this.
Including.
Including that.
Including,
Okay.
we don't, we,
A module, a single module.
Single
for,
module.
for
Okay.
example, you need an interaction that things are being played from here and go in there, interacted, complete, activity done, you get a score. This is a module. Entire, yeah.
So we have changed the way we design. Earlier, we designers and developers used to be separated. Design would happen separately first, get it approved, and then go to the developer. Now our function is very different. Here, the designer developer they function together, because that is how we can create magic within a very short amount of time. If we wait for the design to get approved and then go into the development, it takes time. So our as a like we don't follow that. So we have a very overlapping process where experimentation, design works together, happens together. So it's more like that. Yes.
Thank you.
So I have a sort of simple tactical question, I guess. Right now, are you doing, within XR, do you find that you're doing more VR, AR, or MR? That's one question. And then second question, very tactical. You mentioned the Connect several times, so that's been discontinued, I believe, right? So what do you use now in place of that?
No, we have the latest one, which is Azure SDK. The second one, which is a smaller version of Kinect, it's a white one and named as Azure DK. It's the version 2 of Kinect.
Oh, is that still
Yeah,
from
it's
Microsoft?
available. 100%.
Azure SDK?
100%. You can purchase it today itself.
Okay.
For sure. And the first question was, which is more being used,
Yeah.
I will definitely can prompt that it's MR.
Yeah.
Right? The biggest deal is now you are more connected with the real environment. Right? But in certain cases, virtual reality wins because we need virtual environment because of virtual training. For example, you want someone to be trained in an industry setup. Then you cannot send them to industry and then try, right, to make it MR. So that's a difference, but definitely MR is going further. And then it's VR and AR is somewhat less interactive because of the hardwares we have. We have much more smaller hardwares and coming on we will be more. So MR will be the biggest deal for sure.
Also from our experiences, as MR, you can see the other opponent, like human, standing in front of you. Like when you're working with cooperative or multiplayer situation setting, MR works really well. Like, when you talk about VR, as we have virtual avatars standing in front of us, we as a human do not connect with virtual avatars that much as we connect with the real person. So that way also MR it works. So whatever gamified experiences or what Aman said that it is the environment needs to be shown, we propose VR obviously. But if the point is multiplayer, if the point is to do with physical tabletop setup and things like that, we always propose MR. Well,
And also, do you find challenges with clients having the actual VR or MR, what are the headsets? Or do you provide those, or do they provide them?
It works both way. Like definitely, majorly we have few of the headsets which are MR compatible, right? So we just push APK. For example, we are pushing somewhere in UAE, so we can remotely assist them and then provide. Otherwise, we in India, if we talk about, we majorly send the headset pre-set up for them.
in many cases, what happens that as we are dealing with training modules, sometimes these headsets are worn by rural Indian people. Like we are implementing these applications in rural India. So there we don't know whether people will be able to, raise their hand, click buttons, take the controller. So we also try and make applications that are instantly up. So they don't have to, wear the headset, click the button,
Launch the application.
launch the application, and then start. We try to give them instant, so people can wear the headsets and they are into the applications. And then we use voiceovers, so to suit their, ability with technology. So that's completely different thing for different users, as things are always user centric. So we understand who is this user going to use, and based on that. But yeah, that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Question?
Yeah, I had a question. I wanted to know where do you see the most positive response while teaching a skill? Is it when you're teaching the skill directly, like how the drill machine was, with a gamified, like a reward system and all of those principles? Or is it when you actually have a game mechanic in play which is teaching you the skill, and like between those two, where do you see most success in how the user is like learning the skill?
Like, can you just like, what are the difference you are asking? Like,
So the
first,
difference where what I'm saying is like in the drill mechanic, like that the
let's take the exact example, the drill machine,
yeah.
right?
So in the drill machine, you are directly using the drill machine and just on a wall, and there is no game elements as such
Okay,
added
it's
onto
just
it.
a sequential training you are
Yeah,
saying. Perfect.
and the second one would be where there are game elements like the Tetris one or the
Perfect.
Rubik's Cube. So where do you see more of a positive response from the user, where they are saying that they learn better?
So I think it's both. What you're saying is theoretical versus practical, right? You know why? So what you saw in Tetris, it's a representation of a theoretical notes. Say, for instance, you read a quiz, a question, you read the answers, you answer. So it's more theoretical. Whereas the drill machine one you saw, it's more practical. So if I have to teach someone how to open this bottle, I would go for the practical understanding rather than giving them an image that has some visual of how the bottle should be opened, right? Whereas if I have to teach them historical aspects, right? Who was the king of this particular empire, right? I would want to go for a little theoretical understanding, because I have to give them a lot of text, I have to give them images, I have to give them a lot of other media to support the fact. It is not just I'm acting on activity, right? So, two different, what you're asking is true. We do mix of both the things. So, we do theoretical and we also do practical. So a good VR experience is a mix of both. It's not something that I'm only practical or only theoretical. If you say that what works in learning and education, both works, because both types of learning is different. Practical learning, how things work, how things function, is a different activity altogether, and theoretical understanding of what kind of models, methods you have is a very different understanding. So it's a blend of two, if you say.
Like what I meant was like for that drill one, instead of having a practical application of it on a wall, if it was gamified, like had a mechanic behind it, have you guys tried that route ever? Like making the action of using a drill into a game rather than just having a direct.
We didn't try that, but I think this is what if it
It
is
is
required.
required.
Okay.
If it is required, definitely we can do it. But sometimes these interaction which are very easy and understandable on their own, I think don't add game interaction rather
Got it,
than
got
add feedback. What you are talking about are good feedbacks, right? If you add good feedbacks, it's a way of learning there, right?
It is also to the point that what exactly you're teaching. Say, for instance, if so, learning modules, we are learning modules. I would say that it cut costs a lot. You know why? Because if you have to arrange a fire training module in a factory setup, and you have to call 50 or 60 of your employees to teach this fire training module, it is a hefty cost. It requires a physical space, it requires a trainer, a fire safety guy, it requires all these different people coming to you, and you have to arrange time, date, and all those things. So the process and the cost is huge. So what we are doing is actually reducing cost. So it's a different thing altogether. It's not something that. So the client wants us to do this more physically, because that is what they are teaching. That is what they are teaching is. So they cannot do it with paper. They can do it with printouts then. If they can do it with just theories. So if that answers your question, that is the requirement here. Yes.
Yeah, we can connect again. Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope you can ask again, like the times is up. Sorry. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any question, we are here, and also we have a demo ready. You can try it out right now. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rana and Aman, for showing how immersive design and gamification can turn learning into a powerful real world transformation. People who have more questions, feel free to reach out to Rana and Aman and also try out the demo. Next, we have a third session in the applied games, which highlights how accessibility and innovation go hand in hand in game development. Let's give the speakers a couple of minutes for them to set up.